G'day folks, got another unboxing here from Cubezz. Let's get this one open and see what's inside. Now of course I've opened this from the bottom, so normally this would be facing upright. I've got an extra puzzle in here that I ordered, so I'm just going to pull that one out. Okay, so this main puzzle out. Some stickers there, we'll look at that later because this needs stickering. So this looks to me like the AJ Clover Icosahedron, and Cubezz have been good enough to send this to me for no cost, so huge thanks to them for giving me the opportunity to review it. Hopefully if you like what you see, then go ahead and buy it. So this is an icosahedron, 20 sides to it, so each of the sides is a triangle there. You can see it's got the cloverish sort of thing, that's what's going on there. Now I'm unsure just looking at this whether this turns on an edge or a face, and you would initially look at that and sort of say, well, it's got to turn like that. But I'm not convinced it does. In fact, it looks like it turns on the faces. That's pretty cool because you're instantly thinking of a copter type turn there, but I don't think that does do that. I can't, there's no way to do that. So this is definitely a face turner, and the faces that are turning, it's strange when you go to turn it because you can clearly see that that's turning. But when you look at it here, the line looks as though it should sort of go around that. It kind of comes to here and then goes to there. So really interesting little thing. Now, like all icosahedrons, this is going to be, interesting for the turning. They are not necessarily the easiest things just to grip. I don't mean how will they turn as such, just in terms of gripping what you need to grip to make it happen. Just looking at that, that looks reasonable. I mean, it's a little tiny bit stiff, but I would expect that. And looking at there, I don't think there's any lube there at the moment. So at the moment, this is the only color you can get it in, the green color. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but this is all they have. It's called a limited edition. I don't know if they're planning on producing black or stickerless or anything else like that, maybe the milky white, but this is what there is at the moment. Now you saw just before that there were a set of stickers that came with it. Just having a quick look here, that's obviously the logo perhaps that AJ is using, I'm not sure. White, grey, yellow, I'd assume there's, I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'm assuming perhaps that's the opposite colour to the yellow. So instead of the pale yellow, this is some sort of lighter orange. Then we've got the green. Is there a blue? There is a blue. But there's also that lighter blue. So this is an interesting little colour choice here. That's obviously the opposite for the green there. I'll come back to how I had these. The red and the orange are clearly opposites. Maybe these two are opposites. I'm not sure. Now, you'll notice that there's 12 stickers and this is a 20-sided puzzle. So you can get stickers for 20 sides or you can get stickers for 12 sides, and you can see that's what I've chosen to do here. If you hold the stickers up to there, the vertex is the center of those stickers. And if you look, so just in the center, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things coming off it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's sort of one option here. What else is there? Two of. So what's going to be happening by the look of it is that you're going to have, let's say, these two little pieces in here between the two petals, that and that. So I find that quite interesting because that's only half of that piece. So this piece in here is one piece, but we're going to have one color here and one color here with the set of 12 colored stickers. Now, if you prefer the 20 color stickers, then you'll get a sticker color per face. And that'll be, I guess, what would be called the standard one. One of the reasons I didn't go for that was because I find with more than 12 colors, some of the color choices that they give you, they're so similar, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. And I'm getting really old now, so my eyes aren't what they used to be. So I just prefer a few less colors to choose from. I've got some stickering to do, which means my daughter's got some stickering to do. So I'm going to get these to her and come back when this is stickered. All right, well, you can see that this has now been stickered, and it's really surprising that it's with the 12 colours only, because when I look at this, it looks like it's got 20 on it, but I guarantee it's only 12. You can see how the stickers go around the vertex. Now, when I look at the colours here, the wrong colouring, as far as I'm calling it wrong, is entirely my fault. So what happened is I gave my daughter a random other dodecahedron, and it just happened that it was the one dodecahedron that had the colour scheme that exactly matches this. So the white was opposite the orange instead of the grey being opposite the white. So initially when I got this back, I was like, hey, what? And realised, no, this was my fault entirely. So she has stickered this perfectly according to my incorrect specifications. The interesting thing about it is that, as I said earlier, you've got these parts here where these needed 2 stickers instead of on the 12 colour set, or sorry, the 20 colour set, this would have been 1 piece only. That caused quite a few problems when stickering, and it was really difficult for her to get the things to line up accurately all the time. I think she's done a sensational job, and I can't really see any issues with the stickering at all. I can't see any overlap issues. They all just look like this is sort of 1 piece. So really grateful for her doing that. So you can see the colours that we've got here. We've got the white and the grey are opposites. I've got sort of these 2 yellows and an orange, and the other sort of where there was 3, it was this green section. So the green, I don't know what this is, sort of an aqua maybe, and a blue. And it's just so happened that according to the colours that I had, they're all quite close to each other. Just having a look at the turning, I mentioned earlier, it seemed a little bit stiff. And the thing about the turning here is you've got to grip sort of in the right place. I find if you grip too far here, when you go to turn it, you can see my finger there is coming up like that. So as soon as I do that, if I turn that quite quickly, that's catching on that thing. So I've almost got to grip a little bit, like not right out to the edge here. So as close into here as I can. And that just means it's a little bit trickier, and even doing that, there's still a bit of a danger of, as your finger goes like this, of hitting that. So that's one thing to be careful of. The turning with the stickers on, obviously now I've got to be, you can kind of feel that with the need to grip like that, and you can't, there's no other way to do it that I can see apart from this gripping here. I think it's going to put a bit of pressure on these stickers. Now there's no small stickers, and they're the most likely ones to sort of come off and get damaged. So maybe it'll be all right. It's a little bit difficult to tell. You can see as I'm turning that, it seems to be turning fairly well. But having said that, I am applying, a reasonable amount of pressure when I'm pushing down here to get it to turn. If I just try doing this, it will turn, without much pressure, but it's much easier to put a little bit of pressure in there and do that. And you could hear there just that little click of my fingernail on here. All right, the next thing about this is that it does jumble, and I find it a really strange jumbling. It's not always obvious what is supposed to go where. So for example, if I turn this around to, I think, something like that, I'm just trying to line this part up here. You can see, hopefully, if I can get this right, a little white piece there. I'm never ever sure with it. And the easiest way for me is to go, well, if I turn it that way, it'll kind of click this thing into place. So it's definitely supposed to do that, but you can see it almost becomes a little bit trickier, and the gripping becomes a little bit trickier as well. So there's that piece. Now, where can I turn this around so that I can turn this back? Because initially my thought was, oh, good, I've got another piece here. Now I can turn this back, and it would not turn. And what's going on? We can see in here, there's a complete blockage there. So I've got to continue turning that until I reckon it's around to there. And now this red piece can go to there. Now you remember that initially, if I just put it back, oh, that really hurts. That is a very, very sharp edge there. So that's one thing that's not overly great about this puzzle. I can see some blood being spilled here pretty soon. When I turned this left-hand face initially, it was a very short turn, just a small amount. And you can see that needs to go back here. So let's try it now and get that red piece into position. I'm now going to turn it back so that vertex matches over here. Whoop, and there's another thing you can see. In order for that to happen, it's got to be aligned fairly well. So I'll turn that back. Everything's where it should be. Can I turn this? That's fine. But over here, this is sticking out. So I can't now turn that, which is sort of partly what I'm talking about being an interesting bit of jumbling. If I wanted to turn this back, as far as I can tell, what I'm going to have to do is turn it off like that, then I can turn it around. So it's sort of, you know, whether you like that sort of thing, whether you like the complexity of having to think too much about the jumbling. I am not sure whether the jumbling will make any difference to the solve. So it might be something that you want to avoid altogether. So just in terms of the scrambling without jumbling, if I was to do something like this, you can see that quite quickly it's going to get fairly messed up. I'm just going to turn these faces because I wouldn't mind putting it back. What's that? Those 5 faces around that vertex. It's an interesting pattern. I am still unsure whether I made the right decision going for the 12 colour or the 20 colour stickers. I went for the 12, as you know. I've got something else to do here. I think it's that one. Oh boy, hang on. Let's get this back. Did I go the wrong way there? Maybe I did. The world is once again spinning on its axis. It's all good. You can see how quickly that confused me. That's not difficult these days, but there it is. Should I have gone for these stickers, the 20 colour set? I don't know. Part of me thinks maybe it wouldn't have mattered. But you can see the key difference here. These parts here are going to have 2 colours on them as opposed to 1. And obviously also on each face, you now have 3 different colours rather than the 1 colour that you're trying to match. Part of me thinks it's going to make it a more challenging puzzle in this situation. I suppose the last thing I'll talk about is just the fact that I haven't lubed this at all. I do have some lube, so I could. But one of the reasons is I'm not entirely sure where I would put it. Normally on a puzzle, you're going to apply lube somewhere where the pieces can rub against the other pieces to get the lube all through it. Well, here, there's just so many gaps. You can see in there, there's not any real flat surfaces. There's no flat surfaces there. So I'm a little bit worried that the lube's just going to kind of drop in and it won't do anything. So I think applying some lube would make a difference to the turning if I knew where to apply it. But as it happens, what's the turning like? I mean, it's okay. It's not brilliant. And as I said before, you do have to apply some pressure to get it right. And as I showed before, you do need to be careful that, particularly when you do a bit of jumbling, that some of these sharp points don't get in the way. And one of the reasons I think that'll happen is if you have maybe one of these parts exposed, that potentially could be problematic. So it's not a bad puzzle. What am I talking about? It's an icosahedron, and I wouldn't know the first thing about how to design or make one of these things. In terms of getting the puzzle, you just need to be aware that you'll probably need to apply a little bit more pressure than normal to turn the things. But as you can see, they're not turning terribly. It's not like it's falling apart or anything like that. It's a reasonable puzzle to get, and I'll leave the link in the description if you choose to do so. Again, thanks to Cubezz for sending this one over for me to review. Appreciate their generosity in doing that, and thanks for watching.